The RBA Governor has revealed Australia is in a good position when it comes to inflation. She testified before a parliamentary committee yesterday, announcing that underlying inflation is back within the RBA's target range of 2 or 3%, 2 to 3%, I should say. Ms Bullock warns the bank is on alert, though, to future inflation risks.
So I think we've made really good progress at 2.7%. It's not far from the midpoint of the range. And our forecasts, which are predicated on a further slight easing in policy, suggest that inflation is going to settle around the middle of the band. So I think we're in a very good position in terms of inflation.
And joining me live now is Judo Bank Chief Economist, Economic Advisor, Warren Hogan. Warren, great to see you. They're never going to declare the inflation fight over. So where are we at and how vigilant do we need to be?
Yeah, good morning, Laura. We do need to be vigilant because despite consumer price inflation coming down, there still is inflation pressure out there. Business costs are still going up at sort of 5% annual rates. And indeed, a lot of the fall in inflation in the last year from about 4 to about 3 has simply been at the expense of business operating margins, that is, at expense of profits. So if we let the economy start to sort of grow vigorously, which we're getting some signs of improvement in economic activity, then businesses will start passing on those costs and inflation will pick up again. So that's one of the uncertainties that sits out there. But at the moment, the RBA feels pretty comfortable that they're in the right spot. I'm not sure that there's a strong signal we're going to get many more rate reductions, but certainly there looks like they're comfortable with another rate cut later in the year, maybe November.
Yeah, okay, interesting. I mean, there's a lot of in what she said yesterday in these hours of testimony before Parliament, but what has been around for some time is this idea that the 5% deposit ushered in by this government will actually push the price of homes up because it's all about supply and demand still. What did you make of Michelle Bullock's comments about that yesterday? Mildly concerned, or is it a little bit higher than that?
Yeah, well, look, in the old days, go back sort of 10, 15 years ago, the RBA right now would be extremely worried about what this sort of quite strong housing market actually means, because we're seeing some really solid outcomes in auction markets right through the winter and heading into this really important spring selling season. Indeed, we almost hit preliminary clearance rates of 80% on the weekend in Melbourne and Sydney. And that, of course, is talking to house prices going up at sort of 10% rates, and we all know how expensive they already are. And so they're keeping an eye on it because the deposit scheme, if that gives the market another kick up, then we're genuinely talking about, you know, a boom-like level of price growth in house prices. And of course, that not only is a risk in terms of how much debt people are taking on, something they're not as focused on these days, but of course, there's the wealth effect. That is, that the implied increase in everyone's wealth, or those who own property, will be result in higher spending in the economy and more economic activity. So they're watching it closely, and of course the deposit scheme is just another example of bad policy, because it's just adding to demand in a market that's short of supply. And the only result's going to be that first home buyers are going to have more firepower, but that just gives higher prices to those who are selling houses to first home buyers.
Yeah, it's the number one issue and remains so. Warren, we'll have to leave it there today. We'll see you soon.
Thanks, Laura.